I hope it's the way that it always feels like the Batmobile should have been. You know, that it doesn't feel like something that's been kind of bolted on. It's something that's very much a natural progression of everything that's there. We've known it's what people want, you know, like we do listen to that, but we don't want to, you know, we knew, like people had mentioned it before City came out, but we don't want to do it in a way that wouldn't satisfy that, you know, so it was like, you're going to have to wait till we can do it justice, you know, so it was satisfying to know that still that's what people wanted. People on the forums have always sort of, it's the #1 feature request. Confidence is such a big part of the creative process. When taking on something like the Batmobile, you need to be, I think, a confident developer, because when you start it, and even internally we had a lot of people saying, you know, like, I'm not sure we can do this, because it means that a lot of the things we've been doing, a lot of the way we work has got to change to bring a vehicle in, and the way this vehicle's got to interact with everything. It's very physics driven. I think it's that confidence of those reviews and that feedback that allows you to, and the team, to really push forward and try and do something new. And when you experiment a bit and it fails, people still have that belief to keep trying. And I think if you lack that confidence, you can give up early and then think, well, we won't go there. Why don't we do what other games are doing? You know, why don't we, like, I like that system in that game, why don't we use that? And when we looked at the Batmobile, we didn't think about other vehicle games. We just thought, like, what is the kind of ultimate car? What can we do with this car that just feels great and new and different and fresh? You know, let's try and be different from the other games out there, rather than sort of trying to drop back to what those games are doing. We did bring in a couple of people who worked on racing games, but the main person who worked on the car was the guy who's Adam Ducati, who's done all the Batman stuff in all the games right from day one. So, like, you know, we call him Batman in the office because he does he's the core of everything that Batman does in the game. You know, he's got such a good feel for gameplay and intuitive gameplay and feedback and tight controls that, yeah, he was definitely the right man for the job.
Is he kind of like the unsung hero on the team, do you think?
I think so, definitely, yeah. I mean, not internally, definitely the sung hero internally, but yeah, when you're playing the game and that connection with the character, a lot of that is his work, you know, about how intuitive and strong the controls feel is a lot of his work. You know, like, he's great to work with because, you know, I have ideas, I speak to him and he makes my ideas good. So we always come back to that thing of, is that the Batman experience? Like, does that make me feel like Batman? And if the answer is no, it's like, okay, well, this is a headache, but it's a good headache, you know, because it's the kind of creative headache that hopefully makes your game stand apart. The moves I really like are the kind of combination between Batman and the Batmobile. So ejecting out the Batmobile is just something that, you know, personally waste hours on, just being able to kind of burn around the city, eject out straight into a glide and pull up and start gliding across the Gotham rooftops. Just really makes you feel like Batman. You know, it feels like something he would do in the Batmobile, and that the way the Batman and the Batmobile combine, rather than either of the two things in isolation, is, I think, the thing that I'm really happy with, because I think it's that combination which is unique, the two things kind of sparking off each other. And it's where most ideas come from, really, is just thinking, that's what I want to do when I play, you know, like, I'm driving, I want to be gliding. Well, what would be super cool is if I could just eject. And then I go and speak to Adam, and then Adam puts it in and makes it look really cool and makes me look good. And that's kind of the way it works. You know, we've created lots of new free flow combat moves, lots of new Predator moves, lots of new gadgets. So we've refreshed all those areas, as well as adding this vehicle, which also introduces new elements to those areas as well. So I think the experience as a whole does feel very, very fresh and new. You know, I hope that's what we're always trying to do, is that every game feels like a new game rather than another episode of a previous game. It feels like a whole new experience. I mean, I think the controls themselves are pretty tight. I think adding more things you can do is something that we're always looking at, and it is difficult in the sense that, you know, the combat system, the Predator system are fairly well refined and they've all been very well reviewed, and you don't want to change that because people are used to that, but you want to add to that system. So we've worked on adding to those, but without making them more complicated, so players can come in and play at the level they were playing at before. But if you're an experienced Arkham player, you'll be able to try all the new moves that are in there, the fear takedowns to take down multiple enemies at once, new combat moves. Like, it's quite easy to add new, more complicated enemy types, but how many players are going to get to experience that? We wanted to add things to that kind of base experience, so that's why we have kind of charging enemies, being able to steal weapons off people, and things that every player can do, like almost right from the start of the game. Throw counters, you know, it's things that really affect that kind of core experience without overcomplicating it as well. So we have spent a lot of time working on those systems, but we did, obviously, it's nice to have, you know, it felt like, you know, when you think Batman, you do think Batmobile. You know, it was the one key thing that was really felt that we always wanted to do. So it was, you know, this is hopefully for us the complete Batman experience.